You know, we are living in extraordinary times. I know people say that, but I'd like to dive into that a little bit with you and unpack that a little bit with you. What is really going on around us? And it will fold into everything that has just been said and will be said. But if you all remember how a doctor who wants to see what's going on in your cardiovascular system and your circulatory system, the doctor, she'll put some dye in your bloodstream, and then they can see where the blood is going. They can map this intricate and unmappable series of what is going on with the capillaries and the veins and the arteries. And I think this coronavirus is starting to reveal to us as an American people this picture of the interdependencies of our economies and all of the elements of society that make us healthy, whole, and safe. Whether it's the pharmaceutical dependencies we have on China or the computer chips or the other industries, what we're watching is we're watching a visual manifestation in our market, in our stock market, of the interdependencies and the vulnerabilities that exist in the world that we have created. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it has to be something we look at clear-eyed, that we are in trouble if we are dependent on another society that states as its purpose the value of subjugating human beings and taking away their freedom. And the reason this is important to start out this conversation is because our Constitution and our very values, the very reason we exist, is predicated on the fact that every human being is created equal and that there is an inalienable right of freedom being exercised, at least in our Constitution, with the freedom of speech, the freedom to own land, the freedom that you know so well because you live it every day, and in fact, you live it so well you don't even realize it's gone until somebody tries to take it away. And we believe fully that if you steal the freedom of a human being, you are crushing the soul of humanity, and it cannot stand. So the same reason why we had to fight Hitler is because he stole away the freedom of his people, and it was going to affect the entire world. And we started too late, and we paid a large price in blood and treasure to regain the high ground against a tyrant like Hitler. The Soviet Union was stealing away the freedoms of their people, and thank God we had a leader visionary enough in President Reagan that found a strategy that could win without a fight. And in our age now, we have the same manifestation of a government that is stealing the freedoms of their people in the form of communism. And the question we have before us is, are we clever enough and smart enough and dedicated enough to design a strategy to win without a fight? Because the Chinese people are beautiful. The Chinese people are great. But they are suffocated by a communist party that is stealing away their greatness. And we must find a way to a peaceful outcome together, but without giving any quarter to the Communist Party. And here's why. The reason why we need to give no quarter is because we have seen what happens when you appease. When Chamberlain appeased Hitler again and again and said, well, that's all they're going to do. That'll be the end of it. They will stop at this point. You see that appeasing a bully does not last. And for us, we have to realize that this foe is not like the Soviet Union that was bold and aggressive and you pretty much knew what they were doing. The Chinese culture is subtle, it is sophisticated in its strategy, and it is patient and long-suffering. And so they know the American psyche. They know us better than we know them. They watched Pearl Harbor, and they know they had better not awaken this great giant of innovation and courage. And so what they are doing is they are on a path of strategy that is trying to not awaken the great giant. Subtly and slowly, taking over our businesses, buying up our debt, dominating markets that give them information dominance and Huawei and 5G is the manifestation of that information dominance that is going to move into space in a space layer with a quantum backbone that is coming our way faster than we think. They are going to dominate the energy markets by dominating space and the electromagnetic spectrum and what you can do to paralyze markets that have not been designed for that kind of power. And they plan on having those power generation plants in space in the next 10 years, and we will see those coming. But they want to do this in a way that takes advantage of our open market, our free economy, our open society. Because they know they are not more innovative than we are, because we are open, so we listen to other viewpoints. We bring in diversity of thought. Their game plan is to steal our intellectual property and our proprietary information and anything that we invent that is clever and useful. To steal it and then to duplicate it with their party system that controls all companies in China, and then flood the markets and dominate the marketplaces. This is why they were able to build Huawei out of the carcasses of Lucent Technology, Motorola, and Nortel that they bankrupted in the in the decade of the 2000s. Because they lured them in with $1 billion gifts and incentives, and then they stole their technology, duplicated, dominated, and put them out of business. The same is happening in all the industries in America that matter, that are the leading edge 21st century industries, whether it's telecommunications still, or drone technology, computer chip technology, artificial intelligence, quantum, virtual reality, artificial or the facial recognition that is so powerful, and the supercomputing, and then space as a geography to build a neural network to be able to do these things. But they have stated openly, and those of us who read everything they write and listen to every speech know that just as he is a disciple of Mao, he is a disciple of Lenin and Stalin, and they see freedom in our Western civilization as an existential threat to their survival over time, because it's an existential threat to their control of the people and the Communist Party. And they have intentionally gone on a journey to weaponize the two deep vulnerabilities of Western civilization and our open free markets and open society. The one is information, Huawei and 5G, weaponizing information and using it against us. This is how a lie propagated today by the Chinese government through the 5G network, it's very hard to get the truth out there. Other countries are going to believe that this virus started in America and they should hate America for this. And we will be unable to counter that narrative because we don't have 5G, and they do. And all you need to do is study 5G a little bit to understand its power, where if you have just 4G LTE, you cannot break in to the encryption and to the dominance of information, and you cannot get the truth in when there is a lie. But they are also dominating energy as the other marketplace and the other weakness of American society. You just take a look at our power grid that was designed with no intention that anybody would ever in a million years come into our homeland and attack it, whether it be from a person with a backpack and a directed energy weapon, or from space that's well within range, because space is just a few miles above our heads, but we don't think about it that way. China is a few miles away from all of us. And our power grid is not designed for what China is designing right now in laboratories in China. And they can paralyze. They do not want to fight us. They want to paralyze us slowly over 100 years so we go out with a whimper because they have dominated us economically. So these realities of an enemy that is clever, sly, that understands America better than we understand them, are on this 100-year strategy to strangle us and so that we go out with a whimper. And we didn't even know that this slow-growing vine around our spinal cord paralyzed us before it was too late. This is from a person who studies strategy and competitive advantage for a living. And this strategy is as old as time. It's just that America has been so unilaterally dominant since World War II, economically, socially, politically, culturally, that we believe we will always be successful because we always have been successful. Nobody in this room had to fight Hitler. Nobody in this room really understands what a true threat of Hitler would feel like. And China is intending that we never feel that as a nation, because if we do, we will awaken and we will out-innovate. But right now, we're going about our lives as if there's really nothing wrong, except for men like this and women out there that understand this threat to the right to religion, and that they're stealing that away, the right to free speech, and they're stealing that away. And the Chinese people are no match to the Communist Party that will murder before they give up control. Thank you.